What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am finally caught up with The Walking Dead. Today we're going to be working on the 88HF CRX. Now in the last video, if you guys have seen it, we installed the TSX billet shifter for max speeding rod in the CRX, the all-wheel drive CRX. This shifter feels freaking amazing. And if you guys also saw at the end of the video, I was talking about how the shifter was hitting the shifter body itself. What I did was I adjusted the throw ball right here at the bottom and kind of made the throw a little shorter so it doesn't go all the way forward where I'm hitting the shifter anymore. So hopefully when I take it for a drive, it feels a little bit better. I also mentioned in the video that we were going to be working on the CRX today. We're going to be tweaking the suspension stuff, and obviously I have the car swapped out. And I was actually looking at the parts, but the part is actually the wrong part for the car. So we're not going to be doing that until we get the correct part for the car. But we're definitely still going to make some progress. And like I said, we're going to be working on this car today because we got a package that came this morning. The last time we worked on this car was we polished out the passenger side, and the last time we did anything under the hood was when we did the B16 swap, throwing it back into the engine bay. And then we kind of took a break from it because we were still waiting on parts to show up to finish up the suspension stuff. And in the meantime of waiting, we got the wagon back up on the road. The EF and DAs, we have this giant like front cross member right here, and it's big and bulky. It takes up a lot of space, especially if you're doing a swap or something like that. And it has these bushings in the radius arms. Now this right here will have your caster moving back and forth because the bushing does deteriorate over time. And I kept this around because I thought I might need it. I don't know, I got like 3 more of these in the freaking backyard. But for this car, I decided that we're gonna run a traction bar. I mean, I run traction bars in all of my cars anyways to clear up space for, you know, swaps like the B16. So this right here, guys, is a traction bar sent over from, you guessed it, Max Speeding Rod. The traction bar in this car is also eBay. It's like 70 bucks, and it mounts on the tow hook location, which I do not like. But this one I did modify to make it work more efficiently than how it was out of the box. Now the traction bar that I do like is the innovative unit, which is the one that I have in this car. It bolts to the stock hole location, which is under the frame rail with 2 17mm bolts on both ends. And I was looking online to see what other traction bar is out there that's available that is affordable, and this one popped up, which is just like the one that's in this car, bolts underneath the car, which gives me a better peace of mind. And Max Speeding Rod just so happened to have it in stock. So Max Speeding Rod Macy reached out again, and she sent out the traction bar that we're going to be installing to this car today. Thank you, Max Speeding Rod, for jumping on board once again, especially with the current build that's going on. We got some things going on for this car, which we'll show you guys later. But let's get to opening this package and show you guys what's inside. I can tell you guys right off the bat, this box, it's much heavier than the one that's in the KRX. When I got that, it felt like nothing. I said that I like the traction bar because of its mounting locations right here, which goes under the frame rail. But another main reason why I like this traction bar style is because of the radius rod. This radius rod is not double heim joint like this one, which moves all over the place. And with this one, it's fixed on one end, heim joint on the other. It's a little complicated to adjust the caster, but once you get it fixed, it's not going to move. On a double heim joint side, where it's adjustable here and here, if those lock nuts come loose, that bar can adjust, and then your caster could potentially get out of whack. So we have these 2 bars, which is freaking steel, opposed to the one that's in this car, which is aluminum and is super light. And then we have the crossbar itself, and I tell you again right now, this is a lot heavier than the one that's in that car. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the weight of this bar, I trust it, I really do. But the only thing that may concern me is the way this bar is put together. You can see it was puzzled in right there, and it's not welded on the top. It is welded on the side, the inside, the bottom side, but it's not welded on the top. I doubt it'll fall apart in the future, but for a better peace of mind, if you guys wanted to, just ground it out, weld it, flap it, make it clean, paint it back, and then install this bar as is. For me, I'm just going to install it just like this out of the box. And before we get into installing this into the car, I'm going to go ahead and get these heim joints installed. This thing is pretty heavy as well. there are a couple different nuts in here, one with a nylon locking on the inside. This is for the bolt that I believe go through the heim joint into the traction bar itself. I'll show you guys that. But this bigger one right here is the one that goes on the joint before it goes onto the radius rod. I'm gonna put this about halfway through because this needs to be adjusted in the car, and it's probably gonna be adjusted again at the alignment rack, but I'm gonna eyeball it. So this one was a little harder to put the joint in. This one right here is screwed in by hand, super simple. But yeah, we're about ready to get this installed into the car, guys. Let me go find the hardware that came off of this car so we can bolt this traction bar up. Now, usually the bolts for the front cross member in the EF is this long 17 mil with the step right in the middle, and there's 4 of them in total, as well as 4 washers. So here we got the hardware. Now let's get this thing installed because I kind of want to see how it looks. So let me show you guys this real quick. The front cross member is about 5 inches wide. The cross member bolts up to these holes right here underneath the frame rail, and it typically sits about like right here ish, and you can see how much the cross member goes towards the engine, right, all the way across like so. And when you run like aftermarket header 4-to-1, 4-to-1, or anything of that nature, you have to modify your front cross member to clear the header runner. Now a traction bar narrows it down to about, I don't know, 1 3/4 inches, something like that, depending on what size the bar is. And it brings it further up to the radiator support, where it'll give you all the clearance you need over here, and you know, gives you more room for activities. So go ahead and get this traction bar. I believe it goes this way, and go ahead and get this traction bar installed. If you have the stock tow hooks, that's going to have to come off. The video may seem a little upside down for you guys, but you guys get the general idea. I'm trying to get one of these bolted up real quick. Got 1 bolt on each side, and you guys can see how much more clearance now we have for activities under the bay. Now, like I said, the stock cross member starts at about where this bolt goes, and then it goes 5 inches towards the engine, and all of this would be a hunk of metal typically. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these other 2 bolts in real quick, and we're gonna tighten it down. The main bar to the traction bar is installed, and we ugga-dugga the hell out of it, but you can see, like I said, plenty of clearance now for activity. Now let's do the radius rod. The hardware provided is enough to put the radius rod onto the traction bar, and the traction bar uses the original Honda crossmember bolts, as well as the ones to the lower control arm from the radius rod. So I'm gonna have to find the 17 mils for those. This bin right here is all of the bolts that came off the CRX, and I remembered that it only had 1 of these on each side and a different bolt for the back of the radius rod. So I'm gonna have to go through my bin to find 2 more of these specific bolts, because these guys are the ones for the LCA2 radius rods. Radius rods to the LCA, pretty simple. You guys can see the 2 bolts right there, and the only thing that I noticed about these bolt holes right here to the LCA is that they're ovaled, right? That means that there's a lot of like adjustability to it, but I don't see why you would need these adjustability when you have the heim joint in front for that. So if this gets loose over time, your caster is going to be clacking all over the place. If this was just a single circle hole just for the bolt, I think that would have been a better design, but I haven't really had that issue in my all-wheel drive CRX. So bolting up this radius rod to the LCA, pretty simple. 2 bolts like so. Give it a couple ugga-duggas. Make sure you clean your bolts too. You don't want it to be stripping. So these little bushings right here, they go inside the joint on both sides. Where's the other one? Here's the other one, like so, and then it goes up, bolt, washer, and then washer nut. And there you guys have it. Max pitting rod, EF traction bar installed, all bolted up. Though the hind joints are still loose because I'm going to adjust the caster when I have both fenders on, the car is on the ground, and I can adjust it accordingly before going to the alignment rack. But guys, this bar is definitely worth the money. Again, a couple key features with this traction bar is that it does not mount on the tow hook location, so we're not going to be worried about future ripping of the bolt on the inside and then the traction bar becomes loose. 2, it is heavy duty. It is made of steel. The radius rod is also made of steel. And lastly, my favorite part about this traction bar is the extra front mount location right here in case you want to make a front mount, a fourth mount to your engine to ensure your engine is not going to move under load. My mounts are solid enough that I'm not going to worry about that fourth mount, but it is there in case you guys do want to stiffen it up a lot more. Once again, big shout out to Max Pitting Rod. Thank you, Macy, for the opportunity to jump on board with Max Pitting Rod. We finally got a traction bar for the 88HF CRX. Now we can finally button up the rest of the suspension stuff once we get all the parts. If you guys are looking for an EF traction bar, I do recommend this one 100%. Definitely recommend it over the first eBay traction bar, which I installed in this car. I mean, it works, but it requires a welder to make it better. This one is perfect out of the box. So if you guys want to check out this traction bar, the link to Max Pitting Rod's website is in the description below. And if you guys want to save a couple bucks, use coupon code YSTATIC before checkout, save a little bit. Because plans were pushed back with the CRX suspension stuff, guys, we did this real quick, a little short video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I think that's going to be the end of this video, guys. Leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We'll get back on work program with this car, that car, this car, and probably that car. I don't know, there's a bunch of cars I'm gonna work on soon. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. That's my brother over there riding his little mini bike in the creek. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.